Fox Sports.
We are Blackmore. We are Arizona.
Paul Goldschmidt brandishing his lightsaber and leading the Jedi Knights of Arizona into battle against Darth Vader in the Cincinnati Empire. It's Star Wars Day at a ballpark not so far away. Next on Fox Sports Arizona.
Line drive, back up the middle. Rounding second is Montero. The Diamondbacks will walk off with a win.
Your first place Arizona Diamondback coming off one of the most exciting ball games of the year yesterday. Back home at Chase Field this afternoon, the finale of this homestand before a long road trip. And at 41-33, they hold first place all to themselves atop the NL West. Arizona Diamondbacks Sunday Baseball is presented by Sanderson Ford. Good afternoon from Chase Field. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthume, Bob Brenly along the way. The Diamondbacks holding a 3-game lead atop the division. And, Bob, a great chance here today to not only extend their winning streak to 5 games, but get out on that long road trip with a sweep of the Reds.
Boy, it couldn't be any better. The Reds, a lot of people felt were going to win that National League Central. The Cardinals and Pirates are going to have something to say about that. But anytime you play one of the better teams in the game, it's a real good yardstick as to where you are as a team. Despite all the injuries, despite the ineffective bullpen, the Diamondbacks are still in first place.
Well, they have a tall order cut out for them today. They're up against Matt Latos for the Reds. He lost in his last start for the first time in 21 regular season starts. And Randy Delgado goes for the Diamondbacks.
Delgado looked really good against the Marlins. His last time out, 7 strong innings, struck out 6, did not walk a batter. Latos 14-4 last year in 33 starts. He's on his way to another season like that.
And it's Star Wars Day here at Chase Field. The Star Wars theme throughout the afternoon. May the Force be with you. When we come back, more Diamondbacks baseball trying to get out of town with a sweep of the Reds and extend that lead atop the National League West. We'll be back right after this. Arizona Diamondbacks Sunday baseball is presented by Sanderson Ford. Star Wars Day here at the ballpark. We pause for the national anthem, and now the voice of Chase Field. Here's Chuck Drago.
Please direct your attention to the field as we honor the United States of America and pay tribute to our veterans, active duty, and retired men and women of our armed services. The Arizona Diamondbacks and the Cincinnati Reds invite you to join in the singing of the Star-Spangled Banner, performed by ACA-nominated and bigger picture recording artist Craig Campbell.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Their fourth sweep of the season, and they can close out this homestand with a sweep of the Reds and hit the road for the longest road trip of the year. Martin Prado, Bob, getting a well-deserved day off. Cliff Pennington at third.
If you're replacing Martin Prado, you have to go through the same routine. We're not sure what Martin writes in the dirt out there, but Cliff Pennington scribbled a few things in foul territory as a salute to Martin Prado.
Dusty Baker's Reds 8-8 on a stretch of 17 straight games without a day off. They finally get a day off tomorrow in Oakland. This was the start of a long road trip for Cincinnati. After this, it's the A's and the Rangers on the road. They're lined up tonight.
Chu Cozart and Votto at the top. Chu back in the leadoff spot against a right-hander and Randall Delgado. Brandon Phillips, Jay Bruce, you got to watch out for that guy, and Todd Frazier in the middle of the lineup. Xavier Paul, Devin Mesoraco, and right-hander Matt Latos make up the bottom of the batting order for the Reds.
Diamondback starting pitcher presented by the Arizona Ford dealers. Randall Delgado's first start as a Diamondback, highly encouraging. 7 innings and a no decision Tuesday night in the win over the Marlins. And that changeup was dropping and diving and darting. Shin-Soo Choo leads it off.
And he's going to need that changeup against this Reds lineup, especially the left-handed hitters. Choo at the top, Votto and Bruce down there in the middle.
Quickly ahead 0-2. Bruce Almighty in the dugout.
Yeah, he's in a rut. All he hits is home runs.
All Shin-Soo Choo does is get on base, second in the league at on base, behind only Joey Votto. He drives that one high in the air to right center. Gerardo Parra looking up, and that ball's out of here. Shin-Soo Choo, his 11th home run this season, and just like that, it's 1-0 Reds. Well, it's our fault. We showed a shot at Jay Bruce.
Yeah. Tried to go to the well once too often. Got ahead in the count 0-2 by pounding that tailing fastball on the inside corner. Tried to go back in there one too many times, and Choo was ready for it. Nice quick swing. Got it up there in the RamTrucks.com pool area.
His 4th leadoff home run this year. Here's Zach Cozart. Shin-Soo Choo had not homered since May 27th. That was 24 games ago. He'd hit only .242 since his previous home run. He appears to have corrected that issue. Most home runs leading off the game. It's been a recurring theme in this series.
Every home run for Choo this season has come against right-handed pitching. We've documented his struggles against lefties this year, but he has no issues against right-handers.
Yeah, Choo 149 versus lefties, but 332 against right-hand pitchers this year. 1-2 to Zach Cozart, the shortstop. That is a fair ball down the left field line. Jason Kubel chases it in the corner. Cozart will stop at second with his 16th double this year. So the Reds open up against Randall Delgado with a solo home run and a double.
Two batters in, and they're halfway to the cycle here in the first inning. That's a changeup hanging up there belt high on the inside part of the plate. Martin Prado, Cliff Pennington makes no difference. That ball's down the third base line for a double.
Joey Votto now. 100 degrees outside, roof and panels closed. Votto 6th in the National League in hitting, 3rd in the league in hits, just 1 ahead of Gerardo Parra. Votto leading the National League in walks and on base percentage. Hitless yesterday, but was on base twice, a couple of walks. 3 for 4 Friday night, including a home run.
Well, a lot of big outs in that ball game yesterday, but perhaps the biggest was in that 8th inning after a 1-out triple by Derek Robinson. Patrick Corbin was able to strike out Choo and Votto back to back with a runner at third base. You just don't see Joey Votto go down swinging that often with runners in scoring position.
There's a strike, 2-1. Opposing catchers who have to call pitches when Votto is standing in the box have learned the hard way what they're up against when dealing with a cerebral guy like this. He will often try and outthink you.
And because of that, on occasion, you'll see Joey Votto take a fastball right down the middle of the plate. You know, he commits to a pitch he's looking for in a specific count. And if he doesn't get that pitch, he's not going to take a late swing, foul the ball off. He'd just as soon take the pitch for a called strike and get back in there and go to battle again.
Delgado even at 2-2. The Dodgers' A.J. Ellis said that from his crouch he can feel Votto's mind grinding and thinking his way through the at-bat. And Ellis says because of that you cannot pitch Votto with any set pattern. You can never repeat pitches in the same location.
That's a common refrain anytime you talk about the best hitters in either league and you go over the advanced scouting report. They all say basically the same thing. You can't pitch him one way. You got to mix it up. You got to change speeds, move the ball in, out, up, down.
There it is. Randall Delgado gets a big strikeout and his first out today. Defensively, you'll note, as we've talked about, the big change here is Cliff Pennington at third, and this is a sort of a new thing for Cliff Pennington. It's been a while. He has played a total of 9 major league games at third in his career. His last time he was down there, his rookie season of 2008 with the Oakland A's. But Martin Prado Bob scuffling, and he just needed a day.
Yeah, back it up with the day off tomorrow. Give him 2 in a row. Ideally, you don't have to use him at all today. But if Cliff Pennington, if you can play short, you can probably play third. Got plenty of arm for that position.
Brandon Phillips. Kirk Gibson said that after Delgado's first start, a key for Randall not elevating anything. That one gets elevated deep to left and gone. Brandon Phillips, his 11th home run. Now 60 RBIs, and it's 3-0 Reds. Two homers and a double in this first inning against Randall Delgado.
It's been a rough go for Brandon Phillips. He got hit on the left forearm back on June 1st, and in 16 games since then, this is only his second extra base hit. Very abbreviated, almost no stride at all. Just kind of rocks up on the toe of his left foot, drops that heel back down on the ground, generates power with his hands, gets that out of here to left field.
Hit on the left forearm June 1st, missed 4 games, and as Bob said, since he's been back, he'd hit only 164. But he contributes to what is now a 3-run Cincinnati first. Still only 1 out, and here's trouble in Jay Bruce. 3 for 8 in this series, all 3 hits, home runs. Been a long couple of weeks for that dude BP. That had to feel good. Kerwin Danley grants time.
Apparently 1 hug for Donald Lutz for every total base there. I think he went back 4 different times.
Jay Bruce was already on a home run tear coming into this series. And now with his big weekend, he's got 8 home runs in his last 9 games. Of Bruce's last 10 base hits, 8 have been homers.
Oh, jeez.
So far, that changeup has looked really good, Bob. He's used it to get a couple of strikeouts.
It's just getting to that 2-strike changeup without any damage being done. You mentioned he needs to keep the ball down there around the knees. He's made some mistakes up in the zone. The Reds have made him pay, but that is a nasty changeup. Just the right amount taken off and a lot of movement at the end.
Todd Frazier, the third baseman. With what Delgado throws, that sinker changeup combo as the bread and butter, everything has to be down. And Kirk Gibson has said when Delgado is doing that, throwing strikes with all his pitches, working inside from time to time, a little zip on that fastball, he can be effective. He certainly was in his previous start. You'll know when he throws the fastball, it's about 92. The changeup, as we've seen, 82. Trying to come inside there and missed.
It's a good place to miss, however. You don't want to leave that fastball out over the plate where they can get their arms extended, as they've done a couple times in this game already. You're going to try to hit that inside corner, miss further inside.
3 strikeouts in the inning for Randall Delgado, but 3 extra base hits, a Cozart double and a pair of home runs. Matt Latos takes the mound with a 3-0 lead. Hitting at .313, 4th in the league in hits. A couple of those hits in this series have been home runs.
Got Johnny Cueto on Friday night, a line drive homer over that wall in right center field, and then yesterday against Mike Leake, who hadn't given up much in the ball game up to that point, only a double to Patrick Corbin to break up the perfect game, and then Parr with the 2-run homer.
Gerardo Parra has homered in each of the first 2 games of this series, and on the mound for the Reds here, Matt Latos, 6-1, a 3.20 ERA that puts him in the top 20 in the league, a whip that's good for the top 25.
Got the full complement of pitches: fastball, curveball, slider, changeup. He'll move his fastball both ways. He does give up some home runs, 8 already this year.
Matt Latos' last start was his first loss of the year and his first regular season defeat since August 24th of last year. It ended a streak of 21 straight unbeaten regular season starts. That was Tuesday against the Pirates. 3 runs on 3 hits in the first inning, but lasted only 5 innings and threw 88 pitches. Parra leads it off, down 3-0. Parra now at .313, 23 doubles.
I mean, we're well aware that Gerardo Parra is having an outstanding season, but to really put it into perspective, among major league outfielders, both leagues, times on base, Gerardo Parra is 3rd among major league outfielders. Only Shin-Soo Choo and Mike Trout from the Angels have been on base more often than Gerardo Parra.
That should be a list of all-star outfielders as well at Citi Field next month. Hard to center. Choo kind of tripped up, starting to come in, had to back up and play it on the hop. Parra's aboard with a leadoff single. Guess what? He's on base again.
Oh hum.
Choo darted in on that one, thinking about trying to make a shoe top catch, and then decided to back off.
Yeah, we talked about it Friday night. Choo is more comfortable playing right field. He's filling in center field for the time being, but plays very deep out there, and because of that, he doesn't always get great jumps on the ball. You saw him very unsure of himself. Ends up backing up, playing it on a hop.
So good start for the Diamondbacks as they try and answer a 3-run Reds first. Here is Willie Bloomquist. Now remember, you can get delay toast early. At least they could the Pirates in his last start. 3 runs on 3 hits in the first, and as a result he was out after only 5 innings. So the Diamondbacks trying to extend that pattern. 1-0 to Willie Bloomquist.
And the obvious attempt by Willie to hit that hole on the right side of the infield that time. That pitch was actually inside, working farther inside. He's tried to lead with his hands and shoot that ball through the right side. Try to play a little first and third.
Willie got off to that sizzling start after the long delay to his season with the oblique injury suffered in the spring. He missed the D-backs' first 54 games. Huge gap in left center. Chopped on the ground to third. Frazier kicks it, and everybody's safe.
Frazier playing very shallow down there at third base to take a bunt away from Willie Bloomquist, who rarely, if ever, tries to bunt for a base hit. Put himself in a very vulnerable fielding position, couldn't come up with it.
So now here's Goldie. Parra at second, Bloomquist at first. Paul Goldschmidt tied with the Phillies' Dominic Brown for second in the National League in home runs. 2 behind Carlos Gonzalez. Goldie's league lead RBI total now up to 65. He's 7 ahead of Brandon Phillips and Alan Craig of the Cardinals. At least he was before Phillips homered in the first. Goldie 7 hits in his last 5 games. 4 of those hits have been home runs. Lifted high in the air to right. Jay Bruce drifting toward the line, and with 2 feet in foul territory, he makes the catch. Everybody stays put. Diamondbacks batting order brought to you by Scottsdale Healthcare.
Well, we've already seen the first 3. Miguel Montero at the plate right now with a couple ducks on the pond. Jason Kubel with the game winner in last night's ball game. A.J. Pollock getting a rare start in center field today. Gregorius, Pennington, and Delgado will make up the bottom third of the order.
So now 2 on with 1 out for the cleanup man, Miguel Montero. Miggy 1 for 12 over his last 4 games. He has still managed to score 4 runs over that span. He's taking walks and putting together much better at bats.
Well, a great at bat against Chapman in that 9th inning yesterday to draw the walk ahead of the Cody Ross walk before the Jason Kubel base hit.
Out in front of that one a bit. He fouls it off 0-1. Miggy 5 multi-hit games this month. He's batting .273 in June after a .198 May. And apparently he's an Ewok. Who knew? That's Goldie gets to be Han Solo. Miggy gets to be an Ewok.
Gets to be an Ewok.
Yeah, sure.
Somebody's got to play the Ewok.
Good point. You can see the difference here versus right-handers starting to come around. Oddly, as Bob, you've talked about, he actually hits lefties a little better than righties.
I think he cuts down his swing a little bit against lefties, doesn't try to generate quite as much power, just wants to get the bat on the ball against the tough lefties. Against the righties, occasionally he tries to lift that ball in the air to right field.
Down the line and right to Votto. Spins and throws to get the force on Willie at second. And they turn the double play. Diamondbacks with a promising start. 2 on, no outs. They cannot get a run in. After 1, they trail it 3-0. Arizona Diamondbacks Sunday Baseball is brought to you by Sanderson Ford.
A little bit of a tutorial before the ball game. Delgado's second start here with the Diamondbacks. He did have one appearance out of the bullpen. Miguel Montero going through some signs. Not sure what all that means, but it means something to Randall Delgado and Miguel Montero, and that's all that matters.
Let's check the locations, Bob, of these 2 home run balls he gave up. The first is Shin-Soo Choo, the lead off the game.
Yeah, tried to go back inside with a fastball for the 3rd consecutive pitch of the at bat, and Choo put a nice quick swing on it. That's actually not a horrible pitch. It was down, but Brandon Phillips got the bat head out in front and rode it out of here to left field.
Xavier Paul, Devin Mesoraco, and Matt Latos on Star Wars Day at Chase Field. 7-8-9 for the Reds in the second, leading 3-0. Well, Star Wars was a comeback story, so try and follow the storyline here. Xavier Paul leads off the second. .37 start for Paul in left field this year. Reds have been treading water out there a bit with all their injuries, down Ludwig and Heisey. In fact, GM Walt Jocketty said they looked for a right-hand bat to put out there when Ludwig went down with a bad shoulder injury this spring because they knew he'd be out for a while, but just couldn't find a guy they liked or a deal they liked. So they've been making do. And Ludwig's rehab is coming along after a shoulder operation. Heisey may be back this week.
Heisey wishes he was here today. 4 for 5 lifetime against Randall Delgado.
2-2.
Well, with all the thunder the Reds have in this lineup, you know, just to patch a hole, it doesn't seem to make sense to go out and take on a lot of salary or trade away some of your prospects to get a guy to just band-aid an injury until you get guys back on the field. I mean, Jay Bruce, Joey Votto, Brandon Phillips, Todd Frazier, these guys should be able to provide enough punch in that offense to withstand the loss of Ryan Ludwig.
Well, they have one of the best records in baseball. They've done a good job without Ludwig, who was a key guy and re-signed with them. 3-2. Are you a Star Wars guy, baby? Did you?
Not really.
Get caught up in the whole thing?
No. Don't have any outfits hanging in the closet at home.
Well, these guys would like to speak with you then.
Yeah. That's what umpiring crews are going to look like in the future.
Maybe by the end of the year. Commissioner Brenly. That one is lined to the gap in right center. A.J. Pollock over to cut it off. And Paul Cruz is in the second with a double. His 8th double this year. And the Reds have a leadoff man in scoring position to open the second. They've got 2 homers and 2 doubles so far against Randall Delgado.
Yeah, 4 hits, all for extra bases, and all the outs recorded against the Reds have been strikeouts. Another pitch right over the heart of the plate, allowing Paul to get us some extension there.
So a man on second, nobody out. Here's the catcher, Devin Mesoraco. His first game there since 2008, and the Reds have 2 on with no outs.
It's a little too quick trying to make that exchange from leather into bare hand to make that long throw across the diamond. He gets to it in good shape. It just clanks right out of the pocket of that glove. That last bounce may be a little more velocity than Cliff was expecting. A lot of topspin on that hopper down the third baseline. That last bounce really got on him quickly.
So an error on each third baseman to open the game. One on Frazier for the Reds, one on Pennington for the D-backs. 2 on, no outs. Here's the pitcher, Matt Latos.
Figures to be putting down a sac bunt here. He's done it once this season. See how the Diamondbacks play it defensively. Looks like right now just the routine infield defense against a possible sacrifice bunt.
Paul Goldschmidt strolling in from first. Latos gets it down. Delgado has one play. Bloomquist covers. Everyone moves up 90 feet. AT&T Twitter poll: which Star Wars trilogy is better? There is a correct answer to this. Hashtag FSAZ in front of either the original 3, which, as Bob, you know, starts with episode 4, or the new, which starts with episode 1.
Is that sabermetrics? I lost you there.
No, it's lightsaber metrics.
Lightsaber.
See what I did there?
Yes,
yeah.
I see.
Somebody's a writer. So tweet your vote to @FoxSportsArizona. Shin-Soo Choo homer to lead off the ball game. His 11th home run this year. Paul at third, Mesoraco at second. Boy, this guy can pull the string on you.
Just needs to be a little more careful with his fastballs. Obviously, his fastball is used to set up that straight changeup, his swing and a miss pitch. Unfortunately for Randall, he's made some mistakes with that fastball up and over the heart of the plate.
Shin-Soo Choo's home run in his first at bat was his first hit of this series. He had walked twice and struck out 5 times in the first 2 games. But of course, as we've said, he does not hit lefties, and the matchups with Wade Miley and Patrick Corbin weren't exactly in his wheelhouse. Delgado falling behind 3-1. Zach Cozart is on deck. Choo led off with a home run. Cozart doubled. Phillips a home run. Despite 3 Delgado strikeouts in the first. And now he's in trouble again in the second. Randall Delgado, 6'3", 200, turned 23 this spring. His last start against the Marlins, 2 runs on 8 hits, did not walk a batter, and had 6 strikeouts. Here's the 3-2. Ball 4, bases loaded.
Well, you could see after Miguel Montero gave his signs to Delgado that time, he indicated he wanted it up. Against a patient hitter like Choo, he's rarely going to chase out of the strike zone. I don't know if a high fastball was the best pitch in that particular situation.
So Xavier Paul at third, Devin Mesoraco at second, Shin-Soo Choo at first. Reds already up 3-0, bases loaded, 1 out, and here is Zach Cozart, doubled and scored his first time up. Lifted in the air to left. Jason Kubel backing up. Pollock chasing over from center. And A.J. Pollock tracks it down. Paul tags and he will score. It's 4-0 Reds. Boy, A.J. Pollock came flying over from center field and got to that one right as Jason Kubel got there at the same time.
It looked like Kubel initially misjudged that ball. He kind of took a real shallow line over toward the gap in left center and then turned and was running straight back toward the fence as A.J. Pollock comes streaking into your picture right there. All's well that ends well, but the center fielder has priorities on balls in the gap like that. Fortunately, stays in the glove as Pollock crashes into the wall.
Paul tags and scores. Mesoraco moves second to third. And now they're on the corners with 2 outs for Joey Votto. Votto struck out his first time. And the Reds strand 2, but they get another run in. Bottom 2 on the way from Chase Field. The Diamondbacks have some work to do here, down 4-0. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Last night's hero, Jason Kubel, who really does kind of look like, what's that guy's name? The actor? I can't remember. Reds with 3 in the first, 1 in the second. They lead at 4-0. Bottom 2 on the way from Chase Field. And the series finale, the first place Diamondbacks looking for a sweep. And it was Ewan McGregor we were trying to think of.
Oh, there you go.
Those kind of look like Jason Kubel a bit, last night's hero. Kubel, Pollock, Gregorius in the Arizona second against Matt Latos. Jason 6 for 10 over his last 3 games. And he's had quite a weekend. Four hits on Friday, and of course the walk-off winner yesterday evening. Picks up right where he left off, drives that one to left, but Xavier Paul is there.
This was Jason Kubel yesterday after back-to-back walks to load the bases. He picks the second pitch of the at-bat and lines it through that drawn-in infield. Setting off a celebration. I think everybody came out of it okay. Those celebrations are tough. Man.
Yeah, well, when do they start just turn into beatdowns?
I don't know.
A.J. Pollock. A.J. in there at 250. He is 3 for his last 25. Base hit. One out, one on for the D-backs.
Good slashing line drive into right field. You see the high leg kick from Pollock, down and through, gets good carry on that line drive.
Didi Gregorius, the picture of him on the scoreboard. I think he's supposed to be Lando Calrissian. Or Billy Didi Williams. Didi drives it to right. Jay Bruce tracks it down. Pollock scampers back to the bag. That was well struck.
Off the bat, it looked like it might get over Jay Bruce's head out there in right field. He made a nice recovery, had to reach up just as he got to the warning track, and then immediately turned and fired blindly back to first base, hoping to catch A.J. Pollock too far off the bag.
Here's Cliff Pennington batting, or playing, I should say, third base today. Diamondbacks lost Eric Chavez to that oblique injury in the one game they were able to play in Texas. That was May 30th. Martin Prado was playing second base in that game. Started at third the next day and every day after. And since May 31st, Prado has started every game at third, 21 straight starts. And in those 21 games, he's hit 171 with 7 RBIs. So clearly a rest was in order.
He's had some good at bats lately. He's hitting some balls hard. Unfortunately, just not hitting him in the right spots. Some nice defensive plays by the outfielders, running down some line drives, but you know he wants to see more production.
0-1. Diamondbacks' record in those 21 games was 11-10. So since Eric Chavez went down, they've essentially played 500 ball and getting very limited production from a premium offensive position. And Eric expects to be with Reno this week and hopefully join the Diamondbacks on the road trip. There goes Pollock. Pennington fouls it up the line.
Wow.
Little tie fighter.
Really getting into the spirit of things here today. Nice going, Kyle.
That's nice work on that. Yoda backs the D-backs. Back the D-backs, you will. That's a violation. Not a Disney flick. 1-2. Cliff Pennington won the Diamondbacks' second game of the doubleheader against the Rangers at Chase Field. That was a while ago with a walk-off single, May 27th. And that big hit has really turned things around for Cliff offensively. Over his last 14 games, beginning with that walk-off winner, he's hit .333. His batting average has come up 40 points. A.J. Pollock, 6 stolen bases. He has been caught twice. At second. And that's the inning. Diamondbacks get a hit. They leave 1 through 2. They trail it 4-0. Fan Express, brought to you by Cox Communications and Fry's Food Stores, is back and ready to take you to a Diamondbacks game. All you have to do is stop by this month's participating Fry's store in Sahuarita or the Cox retail store in Surprise, and you can get on the bus for Diamondbacks games July 14th or the 28th. For more info, visit foxsportsarizona.com. The bus riders are here, BB.
Yeah, some of our good fans from Tucson made the trip up the freeway today for the ball game. What better way to do it than on the big red bus?
Hey, you get on the bus, no worries about driving, parking. We take care of all that. You got to battle some Jawas and some sand people, but other than that, you're fine. Parked his Bantha outside, apparently. The valet.
How do you get that weapon through security coming into the ballpark? That's what I want to know.
Brandon Phillips homered his first time up. Fouls that one back, 0-1. Reds with 3 in the first, 1 in the second. A pair of homers in the first against Randall Delgado. Shin-Soo Choo, a leadoff shot. And Brandon Phillips, a 2-run home run. Reds added another run on a Xavier Paul double and a sacrifice fly. They lead it 4-0. And Phillips drives one to left again. Jason Kubel's there, 1 out.
Right fielder.
Here's Jay Bruce. Interesting thing in looking at Jay Bruce's numbers this year, his line drive rate has jumped up almost 10% over his usual career numbers. While at the same time, the fly ball rate has dropped by the same amount. So despite his slow start to the year, had a tough April. And he's working some things through with a different swing, a little bit different. He might be a more effective hitter. He's hitting .279 this year. Career batting average .258. And of course, if you can hit line drives as a left-hand hitter at Great American Ballpark, you're going to do well.
And we talked about Jay Bruce's setup right there. Takes that left hand off the bat. We joked about early in his career he was granted timeout from the home plate umpire when he wasn't even asking for it. But on that previous delivery from Randall Delgado, he was looking for timeout. How are you supposed to know?
Kerwin Danley, just check in before every pitch, I guess. There's Kyle making his way through Chase Field.
Great rig.
Over the head of Didi. That gets down in the gap in left center. A.J. Pollock over there quickly to cut it off, but Jay Bruce heads for second. And he's in there with a 1-out double. 23 doubles now for Jay Bruce. And that's the Reds' third double of the ball game already, with 1 out in the third.
All extra base hits for the Reds offensively today. That's not the home run swing from Jay Bruce. That's a swing designed to drive that ball the other way. Pitch up and out over the plate. Really used his hands well that time. Got the barrel on it. And by the time Pollock gets the ball back in, he's sliding in safely at second.
5 hits now for the Reds. 3 doubles and 2 home runs. Here's Todd Frazier. Struck out his first time to win the first. Watch out, Wilnie Evis. Todd Frazier hitless in the series so far. He has walked 3 times. But he is slumping right now. $191 over his last 14 games. Didi Gregorius. 2 down. Brings up the left fielder Xavier Paul. He doubled and scored in the second. And already 52 pitches for Randall Delgado, 35 for strikes. Xavier Paul from Slidell, Louisiana, same hometown as Will Harris of the Diamondbacks. That is a lot of cotton candy back there. It's like a cotton candy tree.
It'll give you some shade if the roof were open.
How about that? Popcorn trees.
Well, if you could grow that cactus corn on a tree, I would have one in my backyard.
Yeah, you'd have an orchard back there. And we'd never see you.
Yeah.
You'd be back there like Johnny Appleseed.
There you go, Mike and Sharon.
Arizona's best. Actually, we should get some for the flight to D.C.
Oh, that's a good call.
See? Got to think ahead, BB. Now that Dennis is finally back from messing around with those NBA finals. Who won that, by the way? Did anyone watch? We were watching Diamondbacks baseball.
Yeah.
Now that Dennis is back, we can. Well, you'll have to fight those guys off, Dennis, and get some cactus corn. Boba Fett in the house. 2-1 to Xavier Paul. Wasn't the same up here without Dennis. He's kind of the rock in the booth. Things revolve around him.
Or the anchor. Some people refer to him as the anchor.
You're back. Well, every organization needs that anchor in the lineup. Dennis was working the NBA Finals, some extra cash. Now he's back with us.
Guarding LeBron.
Somebody's got to.
Just not as many snacks in the booth when Dennis is gone.
Yeah. Jay Bruce on second. 2-2, 2 outs to Xavier Paul. That's on the ground to second base. Willie Bloomquist charges in. And Randall Delgado does a good job of stranding that 1-out double. Hey, Caden Cranston joins us next. May the force be with you. It's a Kidcaster Sunday. That's next. Sunday baseball is presented by Sanderson Ford, and that means it's a Kidcaster Sunday. And here with us is Caden Cranston, who dressed the part. Look at this.
Wow,
it's a nice outfit. Yeah.
Thanks.
How's the day been going so far?
Pretty good. It's been really fun.
I saw you doing the PA over there with Chuck. That you sounded great.
Yeah, I always practice at home.
Were you? Oh, yeah. When guys come up and you're watching on TV?
Yeah, I have a little, attitude in my voice, try to make it interesting.
What do you got? Give us a sample. Like here comes who's up right now? Oh, Randall Delgado. Go ahead.
Okay. Now batting, pitcher Randall Delgado.
Nice. Very nice.
A little zip to it.
Yeah.
Well, Caden is our Sanderson Ford Kidcaster, and he's going to be doing now. Are you ready for play-by-play? Because the way Bob Brenly and I run this is not your typical, glad hand, show up, make an appearance, smile, and leave. We're working here. So you're ready to do that?
Always.
Awesome.
Okay. 0-2 to count to Randall Delgado.
He's jumping right in.
I like it.
Nice. I have to do that. Sometimes BB will leave the booth for snacks, and I'm here by myself. So you need to jump in.
0-2 pitch is struck him out. Looked like on a curveball.
You're absolutely right.
Look at that.
1 out, and up next is Gerardo Parra.
Now, Caden, who's your favorite D-back?
Probably Paul Goldschmidt.
Why is that?
Well, I liked how back in 2011 how he was in the minors and he just came up and he's just been a star ever since. He came up and he's shown people what his true talent is.
A little analysis,
like
breaking down pitches, backstory.
Maybe we could both go get a snack.
All right, Caden, take it away, buddy.
Okay. That caught bottom, strike one. Gerardo Parra has been having a good year so far. All-star candidate, write him in. He's 1 for 1 with a single so far back in the first. Fouled off.
Now, did you become a D-backs fan when Goldie was coming up at the same time, or were you already a baseball fan?
I've been a D-backs fan ever since I was basically born.
Since Bob was managing?
Yes.
I saw you getting a look at the ring when you came in.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm going to win one of them when I'm a baseball player. 0-2 count. Fouled off again.
Where do you go to school, Caden?
I go to Madison #1 Middle School in Phoenix.
Yeah. You like school?
Yeah, I got straight A's all year.
Oh,
nice. Have you been to Petco Park? I see you like to go to San Diego.
Actually, no, but I have driven by it a couple times.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
You drive?
No. Fouled off to the first baseman.
So what do you make of your first place Diamondbacks?
I think they're doing really good this year, how Gibby managed to put the team. They want to be gritty. And, I think they've done a really good job with that this year, and the record shows it.
Grit. He's logged onto the grit narrative.
Yeah. I will keep up with D-backs all the time.
Nice. What's your favorite color shirt?
Red and black, the D-backs.
You like these ones, the red?
Yeah. Oh, I like the red, and I also like the black.
And then it's all about winning one of those.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody wants to win one of those. 0-2 count to Gerardo. No, 1-2, I'm sorry.
Now, wait a minute. I'm looking at the big red Sedona machine. All right, this is your pitch, buddy. I'm going to do some investigative math right here. Hold on. You were actually... Let's see, you were born, what, October 16th?
Yeah.
Is that your birthday?
Yeah.
So, was that during the World Series?
Yeah.
Wow, how about that?
Nice.
Fouled off.
So you're kind of the good luck charm.
Yeah. My mom always says that all the time. Gerardo staying alive. Fouled some pitches off. Let's see if he can get a hold of one and drive it in the gap.
I like it.
See him show off his speed. 1-2. Calls time. We'll try it one more time in the 1-2 pitch. Oh, struck him out.
Back-to-back strikeouts for Matt Latos.
Are you a Star Wars fan?
Yeah, I kind of am.
Not a real sci-fi guy?
Yeah, a little here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually, I'm not really too big into movies, kind of.
You too busy doing other things?
Yeah, playing sports.
Nice.
Yeah.
You don't want to be sitting on the couch watching TV all day.
No, I always try to be active. Strike one. Willie's 0 for 1. had a good start to the year after he injured himself last year. Swing and a miss. 0-2 to count.
I'll tell you what, this would be a bummer if you come up for your inning and they strike out the side.
Not going to happen.
All right. I like your attitude.
Let's see Willie get on and Goldie smash one out of here. Ah.
Well, Caden Cranston, Caden, you did a great job, buddy, both at the PA mic and right here in the booth. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. And thank you.
Appreciate it. D-backs down 4-0. Caden Cranston.
Go D-backs.
Hey fans, mark July 5th on your calendars. Make sure you get tickets to the D-backs game against the Rockies. First 15,000 fans get the Stars and Stripes t-shirt, courtesy of Ram Trucks. And after the game, celebrate the holiday weekend with a fireworks spectacular. That's brought to you by Gila River Casinos. So get your tickets now. Call 602-462-4600 or log on to dbacks.com/tickets. And feel the force of Chase Field. He's got a ventriloquist dummy stormtrooper. His lips never move.
Never mind. I'm not even going to go there.
You know, she does not look happy.
Not happy at all.
You don't want to get into a fight at the ballpark on Star Wars Day. Evan Mesoraco leads off the fourth against Randall Delgado. That's none of our business. Mesoraco reached on an error his first time up.
Well, I think Caden has a future in this business. Unfortunately, the D-backs offense didn't cooperate there in that bottom half of the third, but a young man knows what he's doing.
Watches a lot of D-backs baseball. And Leto's on deck. Cliff Pennington. Strong throw, one away. And yes, if you're just joining us, Cliff Pennington is playing third base today. His first time since 2008 with Martin Prado getting a day off. Last time he played third, he was a rookie with the Oakland A's.
Yeah, when you're a rookie and they ask, can you play third? Oh, yes, sir. You bet I can. Can you play right? Oh, you bet. Can you come in out of the bullpen and get a right-hander out? I can do that too. Just get me in there somewhere.
Now, you had a famous day at third base. I hate to bring this up, but was that your only game at third?
Oh, no. Okay.
I
played quite a bit of third,
yeah.
Which was what was so disappointing about it. There was a time earlier in my career I was actually a pretty good third baseman, but you know, at that particular stage I was kind of a super utility guy. My primary position was behind the plate, but I played a little third, a little first, a little outfield. Whoa, out.
Chris Spire down there. Yep. That's why they wear the helmets. Boy, that may be the hardest ball Matt Latos hits all year.
Yep. And you can see how far behind the coach's box Chris Spire was, even with the pitcher at the plate. Try to give yourself as much of a chance to get out of the way of those line drives as possible.
1-2 to Latos. We should say that the game that we're talking about when you were at third ended really well.
It ended well, yeah.
Walk-off homer. He had a homer to tie it, then one to win it, right?
Yep. If you're not familiar with the story,
that's all you need to know.
Why
couple
should
of home
you
runs,
be?
Brenly walk-off. Didi Gregorius at shortstop. Nice pick from the edge of the outfield grass, 2 down.
Yeah, I was actually in the starting lineup that day against the Atlanta Braves as the catcher, but just a couple of minutes before game time, Roger Craig, our manager, came and said, you're going to have to go out and play third. Our regular third baseman was injured, so took off my catcher's gear, grabbed a glove, went down to third base, and in the 4th inning, I made 4 errors to allow 4 runs to score. Then the good stuff started. Hit a home run to put us on the board, 2 RBI single to tie it up, and then in the 9th with 2 outs, full count, hit a home run to win the game.
Now, what I find most encouraging is that you did not have that discussion with Cliff before the game.
Well, no.
You know, Cliff, there was a day I went out there one time.
No, I never go there. I don't even want people thinking about that. I don't even like talking about it when we're on defense.
Shin-Soo Choo.
I really blame Mike Lacoste because Mike Lacoste was the starting pitcher that day, a veteran major league guy.
Former Red.
You need to keep the ball away from the guy playing out of position. And it seemed like every ball the Braves put into play came right to me at third base.
It's just fundamentals. I got you 56 starts at third base. Would you like to take a guess at how many errors you had at third career?
Well, at least 4.
16.
Ooh. It was that infield of Candlestick, really bumpy.
Wind is blowing, hot dog wrappers.
Oh,
I mean, come on.
That's it.
You're only one man.
That's back in the day where there were some AstroTurf fields in the National League as well, in Cincinnati and up in Montreal.
Talk about the hot corner. There's the strikeout for Delgado. That ends the 4th. His 4th strikeout today. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Han Goldschmidt when we come back. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. By Mazda. We believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. And by Jack in the Box. Now's your chance to go big at Jack in the Box. Try Jack's Big Stack Burger. 2 jumbo beef patties stacked with onion rings, cheese, and pickles. Star Wars Day, Chase Field. And the force has not been with the Diamondbacks so far. Only 2 hits against Matt Latos. In the fourth, it'll be Paul Goldschmidt, Miguel Montero, Jason Kubel, 3, 4, and 5 in the Arizona fourth. Diamondbacks have been out hit 5-2. They trail at 4-0. Reds with 3 in the first against Randall Delgado, including 2 home runs, Chu and Phillips. There you go. Tom Brenneman chose the dark side. He's a Sith Lord. He did always have kind of a funny vibe about him.
Boy, oh boy.
He seems to be hypnotized in that shot. Feel like I've been hypnotized. 1-1. Of course, his father Marty down the road here from us. Great Marty Brenneman.
An institution in Cincinnati.
1-2 coming inside here. Fights it off foul. Steve Sachs at first.
Well, if you ever really want to get Marty going, ask him what he thinks of the Cubs.
Why?
Well, I don't know. It's just an ongoing thing. He really has problems with Cubs and their fans and has been very vocal about it over the years.
Well, division rival, Midwest rival.
I think it's just the fact that it takes so long to get out of the ballpark after the game and get to the nearest restaurant.
That is 4 consecutive strikeouts now for Matt Latos. A reminder, every time a Diamondbacks player hits a home run this season, Fulton Homes donates $150 to Central Arizona Mountain Rescue. Latos struck out the side in the third. Delgado, Parra, Bloomquist. Now he K's Goldie to open the fourth and reset your watches to Miggy time. Here's Miguel Montero. Hit into a double play his first time up.
Mentioned in the telecast last night, Miguel Montero in the first game of this series got on first base and was down there talking to Joey Votto, and Votto told him only in Espanol. He's trying to learn how to speak Spanish so he can better communicate with some of his teammates. So he had a conversation in Spanish with Miggy about how long have they known each other. They actually played against each other back in 2003. Votto hit .317 for Missoula. Miggy hit over 300. Or rather, for Billings, Miggy hit over 300 for Missoula. And they've known each other and played against each other at different levels ever since.
Votto is considered something of an introvert, but he's a very good teammate. In fact, when Aroldis Chapman joined the Reds from Cuba, Votto was concerned he wouldn't be able to speak or communicate. As Montero strikes out, that's now 5 straight strikeouts for Matt Latos. So what Votto did was started to take Spanish lessons. Worked with a tutor several times a week so he could talk to Chapman and other players.
I think it was Todd Frazier, one of his teammates, that he went up to in spring training and apologized. He says, I didn't take much time to get to know you as good as I should have last year, and I apologize for that. They talk about a team leader.
Jason Kubel flying out his first time, 0 for 1. 5 consecutive strikeouts for Latos.
I think that's a valuable member of any team. The guy that is kind of the blender, gets everybody involved in team discussions, gets everybody involved in the hijinks in the clubhouse and on the bus and on the airplanes.
What happens if your best player on the team is not that guy? How does that alter the dynamic?
Occasionally you'll end up with cliques, and we've all seen them. You walk into any major league clubhouse or a lot of major league clubhouses or NFL locker rooms, and there'll be a group of guys sitting in this corner and there'll be a group of guys sitting in that corner, and everybody has their own interests and their own things they like to talk about, and rarely do you get everybody involved at the same time, which I think is vitally important to team chemistry. Get everybody in the mix.
2-1. So he may not have to be the most vocal guy or the biggest leadership guy in the clubhouse, but he has to be sort of in the top group, don't you think?
I think so. And, you know, given the fact that he is their star caliber player, I mean, they've got a lot of stars on this Reds team, but I think if you talk to anybody outside of Cincinnati and ask them about the Reds, Joey Votto is the first name that's going to come up. And when your superstar player is one of those guys that tries to incorporate everybody, it's going to make for better team chemistry.
Matt Lato strikes out the side in the third, strikes out the side in the fourth. 6 consecutive Ks. It's 4-0 Cincinnati. Chase Field when the D-backs take on the Brewers July 11th through the 14th. On Saturday the 13th, first 20,000 fans get a D-backs beach towel brought to you by Gila River Casino. Then on Sunday the 14th, first 5,000 kids take home a D-backs back-to-school backpack. That's courtesy of Cox Communications. For tickets, you can call 602-462-4600 or log on to dbacks.com/tickets and join us at Chase Field for the D-backs and the Brewers. Matt Latos has retired 8 in a row, the last 6 consecutive by strikeout. And he's holding a 4-0 lead. May the All-Stars be with you. That includes Paul Goldschmidt, hopefully. Better, that kid is not going to be happy. Cozart, Votto, Phillips, 2, 3, and 4. The Reds' 5th against Randall Delgado, who has settled down, Bob, since that rocky first.
His location has been a lot better. He's throwing that changeup more often, especially in fastball counts. Unfortunately, Matt Latos has settled in a little bit too. Wow. He's really found a good release point on those breaking pitches. A lot of swings and misses on curveballs.
Here's a big swing and miss and an off-speed pitch. Latos only 2 singles allowed so far, 6 strikeouts, all in a row. Delgado ahead 1-2 on Zach Cozart. Zach Cozart 0 for 4 yesterday after a pair of hits in Friday night series opener. Zach thought he got rung up on that one. Kerwin Danley says, no, you're good. He started walking back to the dugout. This was a 1-2 pitch.
Yeah. See, I think you give up your right to continue the at-bat if you do that.
The rest of this at-bat is void. Keep walking. 3-2. Center field, right-eyed A.J. Pollock. 1 down to start the 5th. D-backs Baseball Academy in full swing on this homestand. Come on out to Chase Field, take your hacks. Learn from the pros. Votto 0 for 2 so far. Joey Votto says he stopped caring about runs and RBIs. Says he cares more now about how high a percentage of productive at-bats he can have and how consistently tough and competitive he can be and make it for the opposing pitcher. He wants to wear you down. Says he doesn't care if he drives in 90 runs. It's about wearing down the other guy. The war of attrition over the course of a game, a series, and a season.
And in the case of Joey Votto, many seasons. You know, he sees a pitcher maybe one time this year, might not see him again at all next year, but a couple of years down the road, he'll face him again and remember every pitch of the at-bat that he had against him 2 years ago.
Base hit. Just slaps it the other way on an 0-2 pitch. That's a great example, Bob, of what Joey Votto was talking about. In the count 0-2, we've seen him choke up in this series in those counts, and he's content. Just go the other way, take the single.
It seems so easy for a left-handed hitter to let that ball get deep in the zone like Joey Votto does here. Just use your hands, flip that ball out there over the left side of the infield in front of the left fielder for a base hit. It looks easy, but that's a result of many hours in the batting cage.
Now a conference at the mound with Randall Delgado. That was the second 0-2 hit for the Reds today. The other was the Chu home run, and this is where Joey Votto stands in terms of the National League All-Star vote with well over 2 million. By the way, the All-Star Selection Show comes your way on Fox July 6th, and the game at Citi Field, home of the Mets, July 16th.
Obviously some ballot box stuffing going on around Major League Baseball.
Brandon Phillips. I'm glad we haven't generated any of that. Our votes are legit. Wait, what?
We're just trying to catch up with the rest of the league.
That's all we're doing. Level playing field.
That's right. That's what we're shooting for.
Brandon Phillips, 2-run homer in the first, flat out his last time up.
Pretty tough to get voted on the All-Star game when you're not on the ballot. I'll tell you, the good news is Bruce Bochy picks a number of extras for the All-Star game, and Boch has seen plenty of Gerardo Parra.
And that's always tough for the manager because you gotta, there's a long historic track record of managers picking some of their own guys maybe when they shouldn't be there to keep a happy clubhouse, and that's a tough spot. But now, as we've talked about, if you're trying to win the game and it counts and all that, it makes that decision even harder.
Not only that, but if you're trying to win with your own team after the All-Star break, you'd be better served letting your guys go home and enjoy a few off days rather than drag them to New York City and all the hoopla that goes on around the All-Star game.
Somebody's the name Junior Spivey has been thrown around the booth.
Check the numbers.
Center field, A.J. Pollock is there. 2 down, Votto tags and heads for second. And he's out of there. That didn't make any sense. Not hit that hard, not hit that deep, but the Diamondbacks will take it. Bottom 5 on the way, looking for some offense against Matt Latos, who has struck out the last 6 D-backs he's faced. Cincinnati starter Matt Latos has retired the last 8 Diamondbacks he's faced, the last 6 by strikeout. He struck out the side in the 3rd and the 4th, 6 in a row, starting with Randall Delgado, and he is our APS Energy All-Star.
Well, it really has found a good release point on that curveball. You see all these strikeouts. That one's a fastball up, but really dropping that yacker in there, getting a lot of swings and misses recently.
And now the pressure is on A.J. Pollock, the most consecutive strikeouts in the major leagues this year, 7 by Francisco Liriano. The record all time is 10 by Tom Seaver in 1970. And Pollock is ahead here, 1-0. He singled his first time up, one of 2 Diamondbacks hits against Latos so far. Parra's leadoff single was the other one. A.J. Pollock took a 7-game hit streak into June. He was swinging a hot bat at the start of this month, but since that hit streak ended, A.J. batting 163 over his last 15 games. Did have a couple of hits in the 3-2 win over the Marlins on Tuesday. Latos is behind here, 3-0. Taken all the way, 3-1.
Well, the Diamondbacks will definitely take it. A kind of an odd double play to end that inning. Joey Votto running into that easy out at second base. That play was entirely in front of him. I understand going back to tag up because of the deep fly ball to center as Pollock takes the leadoff walk. But as you start between first and second, if you see that throw is on line and going to beat you, you've got time to stop and go back to first base.
That's become kind of a trendy thing. Does it seem like guys are doing it more this year? Because we've seen more and more of that as the year has worn on.
I think it goes along with fewer home runs, fewer big outings offensively, and you try to take 90 feet however you can. A lot of teams are going back to tag on what appear to be routine fly balls to the outfield. A lot more than did, say, in the past 10 years.
Didi Gregorius hit a hard liner to right his first time up. And he knocks that one into center. A.J. Pollock was going to fly around second, but tripped going over the bag and has to stay there. He had third base in mind all the way, but lost his footing rounding second. And hopefully he's okay. I think his pride is wounded a bit.
He got a good read. He realized that ball was going to get down, but he actually lost his footing before he got to the bag at second. Really jammed his left foot hard into the base and decided just to stay there rather than risk getting thrown out at third base, trailing by 4 runs in the game.
Just the third hit for the Diamondbacks, all singles, so it's first and second, nobody out for Cliff Pennington. Now, Bob, how do you play this with your 8 and 9 guys coming up next? Tony Sipp is throwing in the Diamondbacks bullpen.
You can just keep hacking away here. Try to cut into that Reds lead any way you can. Hinske in the on deck circle would hit for Randall Delgado.
Cliff Pennington grounded to second his first time up, 0 for 1. The left hand side, by far the strong side for Cliff, the only switch hitter on the roster. 283 as a lefty, 150 as a right hand hitter. Pollock on second, Gregorius on first, nobody out here in the 5th. Diamondbacks down 4-0. It gets off the glove of Latos. Phillips is there. They got the force on Didi, but that's all they'll get. Pollock to third, and Pennington's aboard. And Brandon Phillips getting up slowly at second.
A little bit of a dangerous play for Brandon Phillips, but because they did get the lead runner there at second base, it keeps the double play in order here with 1 out in the inning, and Hinske coming to the plate. I'll tell you, for a guy who plays the position as well as Brandon Phillips does, he takes some crazy chances out there. Backhanded flips and no-look tosses, and underhanded throws, but
he's a highlight reel guy, and he
really
knows
is.
It. Yep.
You know, a lot of people in the National League felt that maybe some of the flair that he has hurt him last year, because Darwin Barney, who won the Gold Glove in the National League at second base last year, is just the opposite. He is as solid fundamentally as they come. doesn't take unnecessary risks where Phillips is willing to throw behind his back with his eyes closed.
And Darwin Barney is steady Eddie down there for the Cubs. Eric Hinsky will hit for Delgado, whose day will end here. Eric at 176 on the season, but in this role, his specialty, the pinch hitter, he is 231. 9 for 39 this year, pinch hitting. Randall Delgado, 4 runs allowed, 3 were earned on 6 hits. He went 5 innings, a walk and 4 strikeouts. 2 home runs in the first. Chu to lead it off, then Phillips a 2-run shot. The Reds were up 3-0 after a half inning. Eric Hinsky is a pinch hitter, 3 doubles, a homer, and 5 RBIs. Cantina band in the house.
It's like a Pink Floyd album cover.
It does. Struck him out. 7 strikeouts for Matt Latos.
It's pretty obvious when a pitcher like Matt Latos, I mentioned at the top of the show, throws fastball, curveball, slider, changeup. When he has a good feel for one of those pitches, he'll go to it almost exclusively, especially in strikeout situations. And it's obvious here from the 3rd inning on, he's had a real good feel for that curveball.
Came inside with that breaking ball and got the strikeout. So now there are runners in the corners with 2 outs. In the top of the order, Gerardo Parra. Dude, you got the wrong day. It's Star Wars Day.
Every day's Superman Day.
Seriously, who comes to Star Wars Day in a Superman costume? It's just not done. Parra 1 for 2, single and a strikeout. Despite Gerardo Parra's playing style, which is max effort all the time, he's shown no signs of wearing down. In fact, quite the opposite. His production keeps increasing as the year goes on. 305 in April, 311 in May. So far in June, 325. And a higher RBI rate than at any point in the year. He's behind 0-2. It's the wrong day.
I don't know if there is a right day for that gentleman to wear that costume.
With the I like the Ponch and John sunglasses with the Superman outfit on. Chips reference. 0-2. Of course, Gerardo's got the Braveheart eye black going. Continue the movie theme. Coming in again here. Got him. 8 strikeouts for Matt Latos. He's pitching a shutout through 5. Tony Sipp on the way. Diamondbacks down 4-0. Chase Field. Jay Bruce, Todd Frazier, and Xavier Paul. And Bob, you mentioned Jay Bruce has this unusual move he does, and sometimes umpires get confused.
Yeah, not sure when he's asking for timeout and when he's just flexing that left arm.
Well, he's got that look. Oh, it happened again. Now that's just sort of an odd tick he has.
Yeah.
And we saw him talking to Kerwin Danley earlier saying, you know, I wasn't really calling timeout there. It's just something I do.
It used to happen quite often when Jay Bruce first got to the major leagues, but you know, now that the umpires have seen him and understand that's part of his pre-pitch routine, rarely does it get called timeout. He'll do it again, guaranteed.
Tony Sipp on the mound for the Diamondbacks after Randall Delgado's day ended through 5 innings. There's a strike to Jay Bruce. Let's go downstairs to Jody Jackson. Jody.
Well, guys, yeah, the home run that Jay Bruce hit yesterday that hit the bottom of the scoreboard, 472 feet, and did leave a bit of a mark there. I just talked to Steve Silvertooth, engineer in charge here at Chase Field, and you know, maybe a little bit of repair work over the road trip. But overall, it reminded me a lot of the fact that Richie Sexson hit the scoreboard back in 2004. That one was charted at 503 feet, if you recall that one. So Jay Bruce in Chase Field lore now.
That was a great run Richie Sexson had. 23 games. There were 23 great games, though.
You have to remind me.
Hey, Junior Spivey. I saw you looking up Junior Spivey's numbers during the commercial.
Junior does not need me to defend his first half of the season in 2002. He deserved to go to the All-Star game.
But since you have the numbers there,
yeah,
just it happened to come up organically. Here's the 1-2. What do you got?
Junior Spivey in 72 first half games in 2002 hit .328, on base percentage of .414, slugged .552. Stole 8 bases, hit 9 homers, drove in 46. He deserved to go to the All-Star game.
Those are outstanding numbers.
Yeah.
So why is everybody so up in arms? Who didn't make it as a result of the junior selection is the question, I guess.
I don't care.
Good point.
And I told you guys between innings, Craig Counsell was on the verge of going to the All-Star game that year, but he really cooled off the last week and a half or 2 weeks before the break, and I just couldn't justify taking another Diamondback to Milwaukee.
Too bad he couldn't pitch the 13th inning. I should point out also that Junior Spivey did finish 14th in the MVP voting in 2002.
Thank you.
So there was a foundation from which to build. Right to Kevin Towers' booth. KT, let's see what he's got here. He doesn't want to hit anybody. All right. I think he knows he's on TV. Now he's busted. Going away here. Misses. It's full 3-2. There we go. Took the carom off the cement. Richie Cunningham in the house, apparently. With his long lost brother Chuck. Hard to right. And that is a fair ball. Carom's high off that bullpen wall out there. Power plays the carom. And boy, Jay Bruce is wearing out the Diamondbacks.
Well, at least they're keeping him in the ballpark today. His second double, giving him 24 on the season. Thought that ball might hook foul down the right field line. He got out in front of it just a little bit, but able to keep it fair. Bounces off the base of the foul pole out there. As usual, Gerardo Parmigiani on the spot to hold him to 2.
Reds have twice had a leadoff double. They had a 1-out double, which was Bruce back in the 3rd, so he's 2 for 3 with a pair of doubles. They've out hit the Diamondbacks 7-3. Here's Todd Frazier. He's 0 for 2. Four doubles for the Reds today. Cozart in the first, Paul in the second, and Bruce in the third and sixth. Throw in a couple of home runs, Chu and Phillips in the first, and that gets you to 4-0. Apparently this gentleman, Mike, is going to have to be escorted away by stormtroopers. Mike and Vanessa down there. Mike has a lightsaber. He's ready to go. Yes, you. You're going to have to fight him. Here's the 0-1. Frazier still hitless in the series so far. We've beefed up security. Uh-oh. Somebody's being taken away. High five. I'd like to sit behind that guy. Can't see anything. Keeps breathing heavily through the whole game, too. Not good peripheral vision in the helmet. This is there, 1-2. Star Trek for you? That's always a big one. Star Wars or Star Trek.
Yeah, I wasn't really much into either.
Dude, one guy's got the guy on the right's got the $3 discount store Halloween mask, and the other guy's got the multi-$1,000 whole getup. There's the strikeout for Tony Sipp, 1 down. Frazier 0 for 3, his second strikeout today. Although Princess Leia apparently goes with the Halloween mask guy.
Just keep that in mind when you're hiring Star Wars characters to come to a birthday party. You got to be very specific on what you want. You could end up with that.
I'd have to say the other girl had the best Princess Leia hair that we've seen so far. I bet the kids just follow those guys around everywhere they go. Xavier Paul doubled and scored in the second. He's 1 for 2. I'd like to thank Baxter. Had a busy day. He's apparently sleeping. A little too hot for the Chewbacca mask for the full 9.
Seemed like a good idea this morning when I left the house.
And now he's just got to sit in the lap. There's Darth Maul. Darth Maul looks like David Putty at a Ranger hockey game. Support the team.
As you well know, I'm not big on Star Wars, but I have to believe the stormtroopers, is that what they are in those white costumes?
Yep, they're the bad guys.
They are prone to graffiti. You get yourself a Sharpie and follow those guys around. You could write all kinds of funny stuff on those costumes.
Dude, stop spray painting my back. There's something go. Oh, they're going to do sink or float with Star Wars. Here's a fan catch.
Nice.
Nice work. What do you think, Bob? Contract worthy?
I think so.
All right. We need something to cheer about here.
Absolutely.
Only 3 hits. Let's give her a contract.
Bring your glove. That's why you bring your glove right there.
If we can get him to stop playing some of the techno pop in the booth, we can award the contract. There's the strikeout. Yes, he went, Paul Schreiber. Yeah, results of the AT&T Twitter poll question, by the way. And this was a no-brainer. Star Wars trilogy is better than the original. It starts with episode 4. Almost 3-1. Thanks for participating at Fox Sports Arizona. Here comes Kirk Gibson. Devin Mesoraco is the scheduled hitter, and we're going to see the right-hander Zeke Sproul come on. Pitching change at Chase Field. We'll take a break. Brought to you in part by George Brazil. George Brazil guarantees the lowest price on a new AC system. Call George today. Welcome back to Star Wars Day. And oh, how about that? The Star Wars Stormtrooper sweep broom. That's nice work. Some work still left to do here to sweep this series against the Reds. Diamondbacks down 4-0, only 3 hits, and trying to strand a leadoff double at second. Devin Mesoraco, the Reds catcher, is the hitter, so Kirk Gibson elects to go to the right-hander. This is Zeke Sproul.
Yeah, Mesoraco hits about 100 points higher against left-handed pitching, so Gibby makes the move to rookie Zeke Sproul. Made his major league debut on the 21st against these Reds. A clean inning, gave up 1 base hit, but zeros otherwise across the board.
Ezekiel Steven Sproul, second-round pick by the Braves in 08. Came here via the Upton Prado deal. He'll work to Devin Mesoraco with Jay Bruce at second base. Trying to keep it 4-0 here. Mesoraco 0 for 2 so far. Say cheese. Mesoraco, as Bob mentioned, does not hit right-hand pitching. .212 versus righties this year. He's more than 100 points higher against lefties. So Kirk Gibson went to get Tony Sipp, and he's gone with Zeke Sproul. Mesoraco just the 3rd catcher ever taken by the Reds with their top draft pick. Dan Lamar and Dan Wilson, the other 2. 15th player selected overall in 07.
Well, Dan Wilson went on to have himself a heck of a career, most notably with the Mariners. The other gentleman I'm not familiar with.
Dan Lamar, 1979. Yeah. Mesoraco, drafted out of Punxsutawney High School. And that one is hit to Punxsutawney. But foul.
Dusty Baker talked to him before the ball game yesterday. He's very encouraged by the progress of Devin Mesoraco. Last season, he felt the game was moving a little too quickly for him, which happens to a lot of rookies, especially behind the plate, but has really settled in this season. And they think he will be that frontline starting catcher.
Yeah, Dusty last year went more and more with Ryan Hannigan behind the plate. Mesoraco eventually lost his big league spot to Deanna Navarro, who was the backup last year. Mesoraco sent down to Louisville August 23rd, right near the end of the AAA season. Had only 3 at-bats the entire months of September last year, while the Reds were making their playoff run. 2-2. Missed inside there. It's full 3-2. Matt Latos is on deck. And with the way he's dealing, he will hit. 8 strikeouts so far, only 3 hits allowed, all singles. Keeping Chris Spire on his toes down there. A nice play by Wayne Laskin to go out there. And look at Wayne way out there in left. Look at the range, Bob.
Nice going, Wayne. Especially good range to his left, which is why he mans the left field line, because everything is hit to his left.
Terry McGowan down the line and right. Ball 4, first and second, the pitcher on the way. A fan swing for the fences with the new Home Run Derby mobile game from MLB.com. It's available on iPhone and iPad. You can download the Home Run Derby game for free today. First and second, 2 outs now. Matt Latos. That's a sacrifice bunt and a ground out to shortstop, 0 for 1. Everything from Zeke Sproul. This is not a guy who strikes out opposing hitters. He is sinker, 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 ground ball, ground ball, ground ball. Something that plays well in this ballpark. Boba Fett. Looks like he built that at the junkyard.
Recycling.
Good.
Spare parts.
They wear glasses under those things. Who knew? Leto strikes out, and Sproul strands 2. Bottom 6 on the way. Diamondbacks down 4-0. They have only 3 hits. Going to get the offense going here. Bloomquist, Goldschmidt, Montero when we come back. Diamondbacks trail the Reds 4-0. Fun times at the Ram Trucks Pool. Great place to watch a game and get hassled by some stormtroopers.
Just push them in the water.
Milling around. I wonder if those guys float. That's what they should have done with sink or float. They should have pushed one of those guys in the pool. Send Darth Maul in there to save him or something. Hey, Pepsi and the Diamondbacks offer a chance to catch a game from the RamTruck.com pool. Look for specially marked packages of Pepsi 12-ounce cans. Chance to find the limited edition D-backs can. Pepsi, live for now. A shot at Derek Robinson. He's the new left fielder. Takes over for Xavier Paul. Matt Leto's only 3 hits so far, all singles. He has 8 strikeouts. He got the side in the 3rd and the 4th, 6 in a row. And now 8 for the game. Bloomquist, Goldschmidt, Montero, 2, 3, and 4 in the Arizona 6th. Got to get this thing going here, baby.
Gotta go, gotta go. We could just get Mr. Latos to cooperate, make some mistakes. Everything he's thrown up there has been either on the corners or down at the knees. Hasn't made very many mistakes at all in the middle of the plate.
Diamondbacks so far, Latos intolerant.
Yeah. Oh. Ooh.
Yeah. After this, it's the longest road trip of the year. Plane leaves right after the game. 10 games at Washington, at Atlanta, and 4 at the Mets. 3 in D.C., 3 at the Braves, and then 4 at Citi Field.
And when the D-backs get back from that upcoming road trip, they will have played the fewest home games in Major League Baseball. Only 37 home games through July 5th.
Talk about everything they've had to go through with the injuries and all that, and holding as of today right now a 3-game lead atop the division. To do that despite playing the fewest amount of home games in baseball is stunning.
Well, it bodes well for the second half when they'll play a boatload of home games.
So get your tickets, fans. Lots of chances to come out and see your first place Diamondbacks. Once we get back from this 10-gamer on the 10th game is July 4th, actually. So we're back July 5th on. So join us at Chase Field. Watch your first place D-backs. Tons of home games coming up for this playoff stretch. Get on board. That is now 9 strikeouts and 3 more in a row for Matt Latos. He's put together 3 straight strikeouts 3 different times. Struck out the side in the 3rd, got the side in the 4th, ended the 5th with strikeouts of Hinsky and Parra, and now he's Cade Bloomquist to open the 6th.
His career high for strikeouts is 13. Let's don't get there.
And he's been remarkably efficient. He's thrown 60, well, let's see, we get a different count now, 69, only 16 balls. So in and around the zone all day. .70 pitches, 54 for strikes.
But as I just said a moment ago, it's not like he's just throwing the ball right down the middle of the plate. He's hit corners, he's hit kneecaps. Got a little extra gas on that fastball when he needs it. That last one at 95, pitching comfortably in the low 90s.
He's ahead of Goldie 1-2. Every time I see Paul do that, when he checks his swing on a pitch down and away, I think back to April when he was chasing those pitches and how far he's come. Did it again there. And once again, he was behind in the count and he's worked it back full. Who needs a camera phone? Goldie is your father, Luke. Nice work. Werner Kachinko gain piece. Look at that. Young man wants a home run. How about a base hit? We'll take it at this point. 4th hit for the Diamondbacks, all singles. And they have a 1-out base runner against Matt Latos.
Harry Carey used to call this the Rush Street offense. Lots of singles, very little scoring.
I get it. How you doing?
Take a couple of those singles and then somebody launch one. Get back in this ball game.
Well, it is Miggy time after all. Miguel Montero has hit into a double play and struck out 0 for 2. Matt Latos spells his first name with only 1 T, M-A-T. And now Mickey having a very heated conversation with Kerwin Danley.
I got a call on a high changeup that time. I think Miggy thought that ball was out of the strike zone up when it crossed the front of the plate.
Oh, that's not a strike.
That is.
That first one a case of a guy really pitching well and just getting a call?
I think occasionally the umpire can get caught up in the moment. I mean, it's very obvious Matt Latos is on top of his game here today, hitting his spots. I mean, Kerwin Danley watches where Mesoraco is moving, where is he putting his target, and for the most part Latos has hit that target with consistency. And yeah, I think Kerwin got caught up in the moment there a little bit on that first pitch.
Boy, he has been tremendously effective, Bob, when he comes inside with that breaking ball to left-hand hitters. That's his 10th strikeout.
It's by design. None of these pitches are really strikes that the lefties are swinging at inside off the plate. It's not normally a location that a right-handed pitcher wants to throw that curveball, but he's had such good command. He's not making mistakes on the inner part of the plate where guys can get to him. He's throwing them way inside off the plate, and guys just can't lay off.
That has been a strikeout pitch for him all day long. Jason Kubel is 0 for 2. He struck out his last time up. 0-1. 10 strikeouts for Latos, only 1 walk. He's allowed 4 hits, all singles. Keep in mind the Diamondbacks still the only team in the major leagues that has not been shut out this season. Jumps ahead 0-2. Funny, Reds had their ace going in the opener. Johnny Cueto got knocked around hard, but Leake and now Latos have been terrific. Coming inside again to the lefty here. He hung that one, but it's fouled 0-2.
One of the rare mistakes he's made with that curveball. Yeah, Dusty was talking about Johnny Cueto's short outing in the first game of this series. He's the guy they count on to save the bullpen. Pitch deep into the ball game, maybe go to your setup guy and your closer. Sometimes just go straight to the closer, but Cueto with that short outing to start this series. Dusty was a little concerned. His bullpen is really beat up and overused down there. They're missing some very key pieces, but Mike Leake last night and Matt Latos today making up for Cueto's short outing in game 1.
See where Mesoraco sets up on the 0-2. We'll start over. Yeah, they're without down in that bullpen. We've talked about that. All the injuries to the setup core. They're without Jonathan Broxton, Sean Marshall, and Nick Massett. Miss away there, 1-2. Jason Kubel, very difficult first 2 months of the year, bothered by knee and ankle injuries all spring. Then injured a quadriceps muscle in the first road series of the year in Milwaukee. Went on the DL, missed 14 games. And the injury just nagged Jason all season long, in and out of the lineup all May. Big hit off Aroldis Chapman last night, but feeling much better, and the numbers are reflecting that in June, batting .353. Coming inside again here. And he drives it down the line and right, but out of play.
That's a security that he has, throwing that off-speed breaking ball off the plate inside. You're not going to be able to keep it fair. You may hit it hard like Jason Kubel just did, but it's just going to be pulled foul into the bleachers down there.
It's a loud strike. "11 strikeouts for Matt Latos. 3 strikeouts in the inning. He has got 3 strikeouts in an inning 3 times in the ball game. This is number 11. We're through 6. It's 4-0 Cincinnati.
In part by Ram Trucks, proud partner of the Arizona Diamondbacks, and by Gila River, another proud partner of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
What a view, North Rim. Don't jump yet. Still got a chance to score some runs against Matt Latos, who is been absolutely filthy. Look at that, huh? 11 strikeouts for Latos, only 4 hits allowed, all singles, and the Diamondbacks start the 7th down 4-0. Top of the order, Shin-Soo Choo, Zach Cozart, Joey Votto against Zeke Sproul.
Is that tonight that one of the Walendas is going to try to tightrope across?
Yeah, that's tonight with no tether or anything, I heard. So R2-D2 roaming around. Star Wars Day, Chase Field. Choo so far 1 for 2. A solo homer to lead off the ball game against Randall Delgado. He also has a walk. The home run is first since May 27th, 24 games ago. Shin-Soo Choo, the only player in Indians history to hit 300 with 20 homers and 20 steals in back-to-back seasons. Did it in 2009, 2010. Last year, Choo and Ian Kinsler of the Rangers were the only players in baseball with at least 40 doubles, 15 home runs, and 20 steals. This guy, a very good, complete player. This is what he did as the first batter of the game against Randall Delgado.
Showed a good quick swing, getting to that inside fastball, driving it out near the RamTrucks.com pool. Yeah, he's one of those under the radar guys.
And it's amazing how he gets on base all the time. This is why they thought he could be their leadoff hitter, and it's worked out very well. Second in the league in both on-base percentage and walks behind Joey Votto. That's his second walk today. And the second issued by Sproul in 3 batters. Zach Cozart doubled and scored in the first. Drove in a run with a sac fly in the second. Last year, what seemed like their constant search for a leadoff guy, Cozart was in the mix as well. Made over 100 starts in that spot in their order, but hit just .223. But in limited duty, hit over 300 in the 2-hole. So this year, he started 52 games, batting second for Dusty. And it's worked out well enough to leave him there for the most part, tucked in behind Shin-Soo Choo.
Which was a good break for the Diamondbacks, because had Cozart really stumbled in that 2 spot in the lineup, they may still have Didi Gregorius.
Exactly. And there has been a discussion in Cincinnati, apparently. Nothing against Zach Cozart, but the question has been asked, did they trade the wrong shortstop? Which is a fair question at this point.
Well, there was the same discussion last year when Yasmani Grandal was traded to the Padres for Matt Latos. A lot of people close to the organization felt the Reds traded the wrong catching prospect. Grandal ended up serving a 50-game suspension for performance-enhancing drugs, and Devin Mesoraco has been in the lineup pretty regularly for Dusty Baker.
And he saw one of the architects of that big 3-team trade with the Reds, the Diamondbacks, and the Indians, D-backs GM Kevin Towers. Tony Sipp was part of that deal as well. KT's got some snacks back there. I see some pop drops. Ever go into that booth?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
he's snack heaven in there.
Yeah, he's got all kinds of stuff in there. Drinks, snacks. Up the middle, and that gets through for a base hit. Shin-Soo Choo will stop at second base. First 2 men on for the Reds in the 7th against Zeke Sproul.
Cozart with 2 knocks and a sacrifice fly in this ball game. That one, a ringing line drive right back up the middle of the field.
And this is what you want to avoid. 2 on, no outs for Joey Votto. 6th in the league in hitting, 3rd in the league in hits. Pitch inside for a strike, 0-1. Joey Votto says he adjusts his attitudes and goals as he goes deeper into each at bat, beginning with, as he says, the highest expectation of success with whatever pitch is available to him. And then he shrinks it down as the strikes dwindle until with 2 strikes, he's just trying to drive something wherever he can. Often to the opposite field. We saw him do his last at bat. So he starts in the at bat from trying to drive a ball early in the count. If he gets behind late in the count, just trying to do less with the ball. Two and one.
We've nicknamed Paul Goldschmidt America's first baseman. I guess Joey Votto is undoubtedly Canada's first baseman.
Born in Toronto, went to high school there. His father Joseph was a chef and a sommelier. Picked baseball over hockey because his parents were too busy to drive him to hockey practice every morning.
Not to mention that hockey practice, probably 4 o'clock in the morning.
4:30. On the ground to second. Bloomquist, Gregorius, Goldschmidt. They roll it. Chewing at third. Now 2 down. And that's what Zeke Sproul is doing when he's at his most effective.
Driving that ball. There's a term pitching coaches use. He gets it going downhill. Get that downhill plane on that pitch with a little bit of movement even farther down. Willie Bloomquist. Nice underhanded shovel toss on to Didi, who clears the runner before firing on to first to get Joey Votto and complete the double play.
Still some work to do with Chew at third and 2 outs. Brandon Phillips, a 2-run home run in the first. He's 1 for 3. The home run is 11th of the year. RBI's number 59 and 60. So he's now right behind Goldie for the league lead. This was Dat Dude BP in the first. Didn't look like that bad a pitch.
Well, it was down over the inner third of the plate. Just a good piece of hitting that time by Brandon Phillips. Got down there underneath it, got a little bit of lift. Hit it about 5 or 6 rows back in the bleachers and left.
One of 2 home runs allowed in the first by Randall Delgado. Willie Bloomquist, top shelf. And they strand Chew at third. Diamondbacks lead at 4-0. The home half of the 7th coming up. We pause to honor America at Chase Field.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now ask that you please rise and sing along as we pay tribute to our great nation with the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America at Chase Field. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Due up for the Diamondbacks, A.J. Pollock and his lightsabers and cool hair. music here. Is this a chicken dance?
Chicken dance.
There you go. They'll swiftly transition to our Ram Trucks tools of the trade. A.J. Pollock throwing out Joey Votto, trying to tag first to second. May the force be with you, or in this case, a tag play. Diamondbacks, only 4 hits against Matt Latos. Latos has 11 strikeouts. He has struck out 5 of the last 6 he's faced. Pollock, Gregorius, Pennington, 6, 7, and 8 here in the Arizona 7th. A.J. Pollock has been on base twice. He's singled and walked. These guys, particularly Latos intolerant, each with 2 strikeouts. 11 strikeouts for Matt Latos. Diamondbacks among the National League teams that have had 10 strikeouts the fewest amount of times. This is as an offensive group. Number of times they've struck out 10 or more times in a game. Diamondbacks have only had that happen 12 times. Only the Giants and Cardinals have had fewer such games in the National League. The Braves have the most, no surprise, 33.
On the other side of the coin, the Reds pitching staff has struck out at least 10 batters 26 times this season already. They're pitching a Great American Ballpark. You better miss some bats. Dusty Baker along with Brian Price, the pitching coach for the Cincinnati Reds. It's a little bit like, I would assume it's a little bit like being a pitching coach for the Rockies. You know, you have to let your pitching staff understand that you're going to give up some home runs. You're going to give up some runs because of our home ballpark. But limit the damage ahead of those home runs, and you got a chance to be pretty successful.
The other part of that, too, is the Reds' rotation has been remarkably durable. They use very few starting pitchers over the last few years, whereas the Rockies have had tons of injuries to their guys, although that's certainly been better this year with guys like Nicasio and De La Rosa and Chacin. Ring him up, sit him down. 3 strikeouts in a row for Matt Latos, now 12 for the game. He has struck out 6 of the last 7 Diamondbacks he's faced.
You talk about the Reds' rotation being durable and reliable. They've only used 6 starting pitchers this year. Bronson Arroyo, Homer Bailey, Matt Latos, and Mike Leake have each started 15 ball games this season. Actually, this is number 16 for Latos. Johnny Cueto, because of some time on the disabled list, has started 8, and Tony Cingrani, a rookie, has started the other 7 games when Cueto was on the DL.
Didi drives it to center. Shin-Soo Choo backing up. He's got plenty of room. 2 down, and finally an out recorded some way other than a strikeout. Latos had got 12 of his previous 13 outs on strikeouts. There was a force play at second. That was the 1 out recorded since the end of the second. That was not a strikeout. In between, there was also a walk and a pair of singles.
And the amazing thing, as you pointed out a couple of innings ago, he's only thrown 87 pitches. Normally, when you strike out this many opposing hitters, that pitch count gets up there in a hurry.
Well, it's funny because that's what happened to him in his last start against the Pirates. That was Tuesday. He gave up 3 runs on 3 hits in the first. It was a rough start, but he finished the game with 9 strikeouts, but could go only 5 innings. He threw 88 pitches in his previous start. He's been over 107 times this season. The last time, however, May 28th. Latos' high for the year is 107 pitches. That was May 11th in a win over Milwaukee. Skied in the air to left field. Robinson is there. And it's an easy 1-2-3 7th for Matt Latos, who now has 12 strikeouts and a 4-0 lead.
Diamondbacks right here at Chase Field during any Diamondbacks regular season home game.
Walk away with a signed game piece and potentially a whole lot more. Prada Slidell, Louisiana at LSU on for the Diamondbacks. This is Will Harris, the right-hander. He's been a very pleasant surprise, Bob. Will has pitched really well.
Yeah, good command of that cut fastball. He's dropped that curveball in there from time to time, but it's been a very pleasant surprise when they needed an arm in that bullpen.
And the thing about Will is he can come in, and when you need one out and a strikeout, oftentimes he'll get you that strikeout. He did that on Friday. All right, here comes Jay Bruce, so batting down the hatches. Since June 14th, today is the 23rd. Since June 14th, Jay Bruce has 12 hits, 3 doubles, and 8 home runs. Struck out in the first, doubled in the third, doubled in the sixth. He has not scored yet. He had a one-out double in the third, was stranded. A leadoff double in the sixth, he was stranded. Diamondbacks on this homestand had to watch their NL West lead get trimmed down to a half game, but they have jumped back out there alone atop the division by 3 games over the Giants, 3.5 over the Padres, 4 over Colorado. Two and two. Here's where we stand as of now as we get ready to head out on a 10-game road trip right after this game. D.C., Atlanta, and New York. Wagons east. We mentioned the strikeout. There it is. Second strikeout of Bruce today. 1 down in the 8th.
Third baseman.
Elevated cutter that time. They're about a letter high. Yeah, Bruce, with all those home runs, I think if you went back and looked at replays of all of them, usually they're on pitches down on the inner third of the plate, with the exception of the one he hit against Patrick Corbin last night, a pitch up and out over the plate.
Right to Didi. Todd Frazier cannot buy a hit in this series. Well struck, but right to the shortstop. Hey fans, this July, baseball's greatest stars gather for the biggest event of the summer. It's the Midsummer Classic, and it's back in New York City. With home field advantage in the World Series on the line, and since the D-backs will be playing in the World Series, this is a big game for the National League. Major League All-Star Game live July 16th only on Fox. 2 quick outs for Will Harris. And here's Derek Robinson, pardon me, who came into play for Xavier Paul. Saw a lot of Derek earlier in this series.
Well, enough that the Diamondbacks infielders know that if they hits a ground ball at them, they better rush it across the diamond. This guy can really run.
Urban Meyer liked it and wanted to play cornerback for the Florida Gators. Robinson from Gainesville.
Back in 06 at a high school tryout camp, he ran a 6.1 60-yard dash. Was declared the fastest high school player available in the draft that year.
He's got a hit in 5 straight games. He's batting left-handed here. That's his weaker side by, well, about 30 points. Just missed there. 2-2. He could run. 7 years in the minor leagues, led the league in stolen bases 4 straight seasons in the minors. Will Harris has got the strikeout pitch working. 2 Ks in the 8th. Bottom 8th on the way. Diamondbacks running out of time here. Down 4-zip.
Or Princess Larry, as we like to call
Princess Larry will have some asbestos removal after the game. Time for our Chaz Roberts air conditioning cool play of the game.
Number 7, Cody Ross.
That's Kyle and his TIE fighter. Nice work.
He was a big hit before the game and around the concourse during the game. Nice going.
Diamondbacks down 4-0. Matt Latos with 12 strikeouts so far. Cody Ross will lead it off. He'll hit for the pitcher here. So Ross, Parra, Bloomquist 9-1-2 in the Arizona 8th. Cody is a pinch hitter this season, 1 for 4. The one was a biggie. That was Wednesday afternoon, the 3-run shot against the Marlins. That's interesting. That's from the second one, BP, when he goes and finds Yoda in the swamp.
I'll take your word for it.
Cody at 253. Cody was 2 for 4 in the first game of the Diamondbacks doubleheader sweep of the Rangers at Chase Field on May 27th. Since the second game of that doubleheader against Texas, he's hit 197. He has seen Matt Latos before. The swing you like to see, but he pulls it foul. And Cody Ross is seeing well. Now hopefully the contact issues or contact lens issues have been solved. And when he's swinging well, that's the kind of ball he hits. Pulls it hard down that line. That was a lot like the one you talked about, Bob, that he threw to left-handers. That was just pulled foul.
Can't keep it fair. It's going to take some big-time offense, but if the Diamondbacks score 6 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
13 strikeouts for Matt Latos. That ties his career high. He came into the ball game with 87 strikeouts in 95 innings this year. He's now got 13 today. Arnold Parra has struck out twice. He's also single, 1 for 3. Base hit. That gets down in the gap. Shoot over to cut it off. Parra will take the turn and fly into second. Here's the throw. And Arnold Parra's in there. His 24th double this season. And the Diamondbacks have a 1-out base runner. Go Parra. He's 2 for 4.
Double number 24 on the season. Anytime you get an outfielder moving laterally, especially a left-handed thrower moving to his right, that's the time to take a chance and try to advance one more base. Chu's going to have to get to that ball, stop his momentum, turn, try to get a throw off to second base. And in the meantime, Parra was motoring out of that batter's box in on his belly with a double.
Willie Bloomquist has struck out his last 2 times up. Latos on the verge of 100 pitches here. Bullpen is busy. Up the middle. Cozart is there. Parra to third. 2 down.
As good as Matt Latos has been today, you don't care who comes in and out of that Reds bullpen. Anybody other than Matt Latos.
Matt's wife Dallas is fairly active on Twitter. Sent out a tweet not too long ago saying the couple had picked up a new family pet. It was a cat, and they of course named it Cat Latos. Paul Goldschmidt. Matt spells his name M-A-T. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Goldie singled his last time up, 1 for 3.
But Cat is spelled C-A-T-T.
Apparently. Paul Goldschmidt, America's first baseman. The delegates are in.
You saw that last pitch at 95. We all trust in Goldie. A lot of pitchers, when they're coming inside on a hitter, won't throw their best fastball. They're afraid they're going to hit him. They don't want to cause an incident. But Matt Latos today, his best fastballs have been when he's come inside on hitters.
And we have not seen anyone come inside on Goldie in a long time. Because as we've seen, when you make a mistake to him inside, he will turn on it and crush it. That one got up a bit.
Yeah, I think all those fastballs that he's throwing up there across the top of the zone are by design. It's tough to catch up to a 94, 95 mile an hour heater up there at the letters.
Missed away there, 2-2. Diamondbacks' high for strikeouts this season is 15 in a game. They have struck out 13 times today, all against Matt Latos. And young man would like a home run. Young lady. Check swing, it's full, 3-2. It's amazing how often he gets behind and then works the count back full. It's stunning. Vote Goldie.
Again, a 96 off of that inside corner. I think Latos is emptying the tank right here. His spot is due up second in the top half of the 9th inning for the Reds, and with Aroldis Chapman sitting down there, I'm sure Dusty Baker wants to get him back on the horse as quickly as possible. Latos probably figures this is the end here. I'm going to throw everything I've got.
Goldie continues to pump up the volume on his production every month. So far in June, 7 home runs, so he's already equaled his total from last month. And he's actually already ahead of his May pace in terms of RBIs. Discussion with Mesoraco and Latos about what to do here. Still humping it up there at 96.
Maintain his velocity throughout. Although velocity is not really the most important thing for Matt Latos, his ability to command those mid-90s fastballs.
348 with a full count. Well over league average. Parra at third. Diamondbacks looking for their first run. Here's the 3-2. Ball 4. Second walk issued by Latos along with his 13 strikeouts. Pitch count's getting up there. Talking it over. Ryan Price could go have a conversation. We mentioned Latos has been over 107 times, but not since May 28th, so it's been a while. He's already over his high for the season, which was 107.
And pitchers will tell you, pitching coaches will tell you, it's not strictly just the number of pitches. What kind of trouble were you in when you had to make some of those deliveries? As he had a lot of traffic on base and he's had to pitch around, and that has not been the case for Latos today. This is about as easy a 108 pitch outing as you could imagine.
Well, 2 outs in the 8th. Diamondbacks have the tying run on deck. Miguel Montero trying to keep this thing going. He is 0 for 3 so far. He struck out twice. Arnold Parra on third after a double. Goldie a 2-out walk, and here's Miggy. Miggy 1 for his last 15. Hard to right, Jay Bruce. It drops in front. Parra will score. And the Diamondbacks are still the only team in the major leagues who have not been shut out this year. A run is across. It's 4-1. RBI single for Miguel Montero, his 23rd RBI. And it's Miggy time in Phoenix.
Jumped on that first offering. A rare fastball in the middle of the plate for Miguel Montero. Tomahawks it into right field to drive in a run. And that's going to force Dusty Baker to pull the plug on his starter, get into that bullpen. Let's see what happens.
Matt Latos was outstanding. He gave up only 6 hits, 5 were singles. He tied his career high with 13 strikeouts. His day ends here. We'll take a break, and last night's hero is coming up. Barrientos leaves with 2 outs in the game and 2 runners aboard. The Diamondbacks get the tying run to the plate with 2 outs in the inning, and it's Jason Kubel, yesterday's hero. Infield in off Aroldis Chapman. It scored the 2 winning runs, and it helped the Diamondbacks take the first 2 games of this series, and we'll see if Jason Kubel has more magic in that bat. He is 6 for his last 13 up there. 0 for 3 today. He is flied out and twice struck out. Manny Parra, the left-hander, is the new pitcher. Goldie on second, Montero on first. A run in, tying run at the plate. Oh and 1. Tremendous numbers in production from Jason this month. Finally healthy. Here's the 0-1.
Back-to-back slow breaking balls from Manny Parra, getting Kubel way out in front. He's going to have to do battle here.
Cody Ross struck out. Parra doubled. Bloomquist grounded out. Goldie walked. Montero RBI single. Here's the 0-2. The view if you're Paul Schreiber at third, not even close. Jason batting .353 in June with 11 RBIs. Goldschmidt at second, Montero at first. Kubel tying run at the plate with 2 outs in the 8th. Decent sized gap in right center here. And Mesoraco wants time. Some room out there if he can find it. Just hit it to the pool. You might score 2 here. He's even 2-2.
Buddy Bob Davidson umpiring over there at first base. I'm surprised he hasn't called a balk on Manny Parra here. If you watch as Parra comes to his set position, he has just ever so slightly a little bit of a false start and then goes on into his delivery. At times it's more pronounced than others, but just the slightest bit of movement could be construed as a balk.
Down the line at first. Votto leaves it there. But Parra's at the bag, and that ends the inning. Diamondbacks strand 2, but they get a run in. We'll go to the 9th. It's 4-1 Reds. getting ready to head out on a 10-game road trip. Right after the game, we leave for Washington, D.C., and the Geico Court of the Game is from the Jedi Master. Always in motion is the future.
Plastics. Wrong movie.
Yeah, wrong movie, The Graduate. This is what's ahead here, Bob. 3 in D.C., 3 in Atlanta, then 4 at the Mets.
Long grind on the East Coast. The Nationals lost to the Rockies today 7-6. In other National League West action, the Padres got beat by the Dodgers 3-1. Ninth inning homers by Adrian Gonzalez and Hanley Ramirez off Houston Street, giving the Dodgers a victory in that game. And the Giants down 7-2 to the Fish in the bottom of the ninth inning.
David Hernandez will work the ninth for Arizona. He'll face Mesoraco. Lutz is on deck. He'll hit for the pitcher, and then the top of the order, Shin-Soo Choo. Mesoraco 0 for 2. He walked his last time up. Reds ending a stretch today of 17 straight games without a day off. They finally get a break tomorrow in Oakland. This is the opener of a long road trip for them coming west. 3 here against the D-backs. Day off at Oakland tomorrow. Then they play the A's and the Rangers in Texas. And Dusty's team hoping to get healthy soon. Heisey should be back this week. They're optimistic about both Marshall and Broxton in that bullpen.
I would imagine Dusty Baker's going to make his way back to Sacramento, where he grew up. He still has family back there for the off day tomorrow. Less than 2 hours up the road from Oakland.
He'll be there with the toothpicks. It's a trademark.
That and the wristbands. Since you sweat so much as a manager.
Well, they used to say about Bobby Cox, he was the only manager that would wear the spikes, right?
Yeah, yeah. Jim Leland did for a long time. I don't know if he still does, but Bobby Cox always wore metal cleats to manage.
What'd you wear? Tennis shoes, anything?
Just the regular turf shoes. Painted the stripes black. I called them my work boots.
Mesoraco leading off the ninth. Donald Lutz will hit for the pitcher. Right in the dugout. Usually it's blow darts flying in there. Not today. Diamondbacks have been out hit 8-6. They trail it 4-1. 5 of the 6 hits against Matt Lato singles. Lato struck out 13, tying a career high. We'll do it again on 2-2. No roller, that is foul. Devin Mesoraco this year had a good spring, beat out veteran Miguel Olivo for the backup catcher's job. And on the one hand, Mesoraco can ease into things behind Ryan Hannigan, learn all the things a catcher needs to learn. That's cool. On the other hand, he's also got to play, and that's part of it. And Dusty Baker pointed out it's easy for a young catcher to get overwhelmed with all the things you're supposed to do back there. And he thinks that's likely what happened with Mesoraco last year. But they just want to see progress, and they're happy with it, basically splitting time with Hannigan behind the plate. And he's way out in front of that one. A strikeout to open the ninth for David Hernandez.
Well, you bring up a great point about the veteran catcher tutoring the youngster. I had a guy by the name of Milt May that really helped me out early on in my career. Shared playing time with him in San Francisco. Henry Blanco, a guy that's been
Hank White,
just about every team in the big leagues as a backup catcher, but most of his value was teaching young catchers how to be good major league backstops, how to call a game, how to handle a pitching staff, how to communicate with umpires, get signs from your own bench, try to steal signs from the other bench. Yeah, Hank White, Henry Blanco, one of the best in the business.
That's still one of the best nicknames ever.
Oh,
too.
yeah, that's great.
This is Donald Lutz, who is frequently used by Dusty Baker in a pinch hitting role. Lutz this year 5 for 22 as a pinch hitter with 3 RBIs. It's even 1-1. The Cuban Missile looking for some redemption. Lifted high in the air to right field. Gerardo Parra, lots of room. 2 up, 2 down in the 9th. Aroldis Chapman will apparently get a chance to redeem himself after yesterday's meltdown.
Oh, he had a shot of him last night warming up in the bullpen, and one got away and knocked a hole in the wall back there. Apparently he's airmailed at least one more pitch back there. Doesn't take long to break in a mitt when you're catching Aroldis Chapman.
Couple of pitches. Shin-Soo Choo, second in the league in walks, has walked twice today. Homer to lead off the game against Randall Delgado. Signed by the Mariners in 2000. Played only 10 games for Seattle back in 05. Souvenir there. Mariners traded Choo at the deadline in 06 to Cleveland for Ben Broussard. And he was a very productive player for the Indians. Cleveland sent him to Cincinnati in December, part of the 3-team deal involving the Diamondbacks that brought Tony Sipp and Didi Gregorius to Arizona. One and 2.
Well, there's a term the scouts use in baseball. He's a nice complementary player. Some guys think that's derogatory. I think it's a good description of a guy like Choo. You might not want to build a team around him, but you want him on your team for what he brings to the table. Getting on base, playing good defense, solid base runner.
Yeah, you need your Vottos and your Phillipses, but you also need guys that are going to hit, 280, 290, hit 20, 25 homers and drive in 80 runs or so.
Do all the little things well.
That's lifted to left. Jason Kugel gives it the first break, but it drifts into the seats.
I think a recent example of a guy that was probably, well, he was a real good complementary player, and they tried to make him a star, was Jason Worth when he initially signed with the Washington Nationals.
$126
million.
million.
He was a real nice piece on those Phillies teams. He filled a void on those ball clubs, and the Nationals saw him as a frontline superstar caliber player, and so far it just hasn't quite worked out that way.
That one's out of play as well. The Nationals at that point, given what Mike Rizzo was thinking there, the GM, was that they were not yet an established team, and they wanted to establish themselves as a place where free agents wanted to go. And you try to build a winning tradition, and by writing a big check and sort of bridge the gap between their young players who are now arrived, guys like Ian Desmond and people like that. But you're right, that's a lot of money for Jason Worth. And we'll get a look at the Nationals starting on Tuesday. Have games on Tuesday and Wednesday for you. Fox Sports Arizona. And what really kind of bites the Diamondbacks here, Bob, is they face Gio Gonzalez, Jordan Zimmerman, and Steven Strasburg, the heart of the order in the Washington rotation in that series.
How are we looking?
3-2 to Shin-Soo Choo. Struck him out. 2 strikeouts for Harris in the 8th, 2 for Hernandez in the 9th. Bottom 9 on the way. Diamondbacks need at least 3 here. Chapman is on for the Reds, trying to close out a potential Cincinnati victory. It didn't quite work out yesterday here.
Sinker, change up, little slope. No.
Yeah, junk. He's a junk baller.
He's going to bring the gas. Regularly hitting triple digits last night. Had no command of that fastball in the ball game last night. Gave up the leadoff hit to Paul Goldschmidt on a ground ball to the right side that Joey Votto couldn't come up with. Walked Montero, walked Cody Ross before the Kubel base hit.
Whole new battery for the Reds. Ryan Hannigan is the new catcher. He takes over behind the plate for Devin Mesoraco. So Hannigan catching and Chapman pitching in the ninth against Pollock, Gregorius, and Pennington. 6, 7, and 8 for the Diamondbacks, down 4-1. Aroldis Chapman, 25 years old, born in Cuba, defected in July of 2009 while playing in an international tournament in Rotterdam. Reds signed him as a free agent in 2010, and he has been a weapon for them. A.J. Pollock, 1 for 2. He has singled and walked. A lot of room for A.J. Pollock, Bob, in left center field. I don't think he's going to get around on one of these fastballs.
They play almost everybody to hit the ball to the opposite field against Aroldis Chapman. They just don't think too many guys are going to get that bat head out in front and pull the ball.
Look where Chu is in center. Almost toward the right center field gap. 0-1.
That is a special arm.
Chopped to short. Zach Cozart will backhand it. Makes the long throw. Pollock with a good speed, but the throw's in time. One away. Here's Didi. Didi singled in the fifth. He's 1 for 3. Didi hitless yesterday after he went 3 for 4 in the series opener Friday night. Diamondbacks on a plane as soon as this game is over for D.C. Off day tomorrow. We're back with you on Fox Sports Arizona on Tuesday from Washington, D.C. Knights Park. Goes on again, 2 up, 2 down. Cliff Pennington, last man standing. And as we mentioned, the Diamondbacks are not catching any kinds of breaks in terms of the Washington rotation. We'll start it off with Gio Gonzalez against Trevor Cahill. Cahill had to leave after 1 inning in his last start, hit on the hip by a Marcell Ozuna comebacker. Gonzalez, Zimmerman, Strasburg for the Nats Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Seems to have solved his command issues.
Just throttled back a little bit. Don't have to throw every pitch 100 miles per hour. Dusty would much rather have him throwing 95, 96 with some command. He's a breaking ball. You don't see that very often. Just a little baby slider that he throws up there in the high 80s.
Well, Cliff on his weaker side. He's 150 this year as a right-hand hitter. 283 from the left-hand batter's box. And he's got a base hit. Still breathing here in the ninth. A 100-mile-an-hour fastball. And it's line to center for a single. That's 7 hits for the Diamondbacks.
Not really much solace to a hitter, but you know you're going to get fastballs when you face Chapman. There's not a lot of guessing game involved. It's just a question of whether you can get that bat into the hitting zone quickly enough.
So here's
Cliff was talking to Steve Sachs down there at first base because Joey Votto is going to play behind him in this situation. Cliff was asking, should I go ahead and take it? I've always been a big proponent of that. Yeah, if they're going to give you 90 feet, it takes away that force play at second base. Should Will Nieves hit a tough grounder somewhere in the infield?
Or Chapman may uncork one and you can take your time going there anyway. Will Nieves very effective off the bench and with the bat lately. As a pinch hitter this year, Will is 4 for 10 with 3 RBIs. But if you dig a little deeper, you see the 408 average. Over his last 13 games, he's hitting an even .500. He is 14 for his last 28 up there. And there goes Cliff Pennington, defensive indifference. He's on second. 2-0 to Will Nieves. .14 for his last 28. Diamondbacks live. Cindy Brunson and Joni Jackson follows. Here's the 2-0. Chopped up the middle. Gets through. Here comes Cliff Pennington, and the lead is cut in half. It's 4-2. And the Diamondbacks, with 2 outs in the ninth, will get the tying run to the plate. Here comes Gerardo Parra. Hold the phone. Boy, Will Nieves, how about his season?
Some of them have been hit very hard. Other ones found holes. This high bouncer just past Cozart on into center field. Cliff Pennington scampers around to score the second run of the game for the D-backs. Oh, for a long ball.
Parra began the day 9th in the league and hitting at .313. He is 2 for 4, singled in the first, doubled and scored in the 8th. He's the tying run at the plate with 2 outs in the 9th. Aroldis Chapman had a meltdown here last night, in trouble again today. 0-1. Parra's 62 points less versus lefties than righties. .332 against right-hand pitching. He's a .270 hitter against lefties.
Ryan Hannigan's going to need wrist surgery after trying to catch that one. Kind of an awkward effort here. That ball nearly got by him, knocked him out of his stance.
It gets through. Nieves to second. Another free 90 feet for Arizona. And Parra's ahead here, 2-1.
How about Ryan Hannigan? He's just minding his own business, sitting over there in that first base dugout. Hey, go in there and catch Chapman last inning, will you? And he is all over the place in this at bat to Parra. Tough to get leather on it when you miss from one side of the plate to the other at 100.
Now the momentum is building against Chapman, much as it did last night here. 2-1 to Parra, tying run at the plate, 2 outs in the 9th. Misses there, 3-1. Willie Bloomquist is on deck. Parra has hit in 24 of his last 27 games, 2 for 4 today. Dusty's got that. Here we go again. Look. Three and 2. Well, he put that one in a good spot. On your feet at Star Wars Day at Chase. Even on his day off, Martin Prado has balls hit right out.
Waste a borderline pitch right there, too close to take. In a full count situation, just stick the bat out there and hope to get a piece of it, stay alive.
Well above league average when the count is 3-2. Will Nieves on second, Parra tying run at the plate. Here's the 3-2 one more time. Out of play.
I don't know this for a fact because I never faced a guy that threw this hard, this consistently, but you have to believe the longer the at-bat goes, the better your timing gets. The more triple-digit pitches you see in an at-bat, eventually you're going to catch up to one of them.
Well, we've seen him get cute once or twice with that little baby slider you talked about. That has to be in the back of the mind somewhere. Maybe on the forearm.
It looked like he maybe was just able to protect himself as that one sailed up and in.
Yep.
Got him on that right forearm as he bailed out of there. I mean, that's a perfect way to get out of the way of an inside pitch. Turn away from it. You can see he did what they call the turtle. Try to pull your head down into your shoulders. Try to protect as much as your neck and your jawline as you possibly can while you're turning away from the pitch. Unfortunately, the right hand was left out there. There's a welt already on that right forearm.
99 miles an hour. And that's going to hurt on the flight to D.C. But Parra on base for the third time today, and now the tying runs are on base. The winning run is at the plate for the Diamondbacks with 2 outs, and it's Willie Bloomquist. Nieves on second, RBI single and a wild pitch. Parra on first, hit by a pitch. And Willie Bloomquist steps in. Willie is 0 for 4. He has struck out twice. Matt Latos tied his career high with 13 strikeouts. And now Chapman, as he did yesterday, making a mess of things late.
Another wild pitch wouldn't hurt anything. Get that potential tying run into scoring position.
Yeah, he uncorks a wild pitch, then you just get a single through the infield. It's a tie game. Even a bigger gap now in left center than we saw earlier in the game. Willie, that's a good pitch, buried it down and in. Chu is shaded well over toward right field. Look at that room in left center. Nieves at second, Parra at first. Willie had a big hit that made the difference in Friday's win over the Reds. That 2-run, 2-out single early in the game. That helped set the tone and tenor for what turned out to be a Diamondbacks blowout win. Still a chance for the sweep. Down to their last strike. Two and two. 99. There's a guy wearing number 44 on deck. Center field, Chu throws, now comes in, and he's under it, and the Reds salvage the series finale. Diamondbacks made some noise late. They strand the tying runs, and the Reds take this one 4-2.
There's too much Matt Latos today. That's going to happen from time to time in the major leagues. You run up against a veteran starting pitcher that's on top of his game, and hits and runs are going to be tough to come by. Matt Latos was outstanding today.
So Chapman makes it interesting, but shuts the door on a 4-2 Cincinnati win. Diamondbacks have their 4-game win streak snap, but they take 2 of 3, and they take the series against an excellent Cincinnati team. And now it's off for the longest road trip of the year, 10 games at Washington, Atlanta, and the Mets. It's a day off tomorrow, but a lot to talk about after this game and this series. And for more on that, here's Cindy Brunson.
Thanks so much, guys. Travel safe.